So I would like now to invite Kavitha, who's going to talk to us about teaching science using the inquiry-based learning approach to primary school students with dyslexia. So while Kavitha is setting up, I shall give you guys a short intro. So Kavitha is a lead educational therapist and a program leader for Specialised Educational Services Science Program. She joined the DAS in 2007 and has been teaching and working with students with dyslexia and other comorbidities such as speech and language impairment and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. As Kavitha spearheads the science program at DAS, she has conducted 11 SES Science Explorers workshops for primary school students and will be conducting the SES Science Explorer short-term programs in 2018. She is also a triple specialist who teaches the English Exam Skills program as well as the DAS Main Literacy program. In addition, she continues to train and give support to her colleagues by sharing her wealth of experiences, especially when working with students who struggle with SPLD. Kavitha holds a Master's in Inclusive and Special Education from Monash University, a Bachelor of Arts Honours with double majors in Mass Comm and Marketing, and a Cambridge International Diploma for Teachers and Trainers in Dyslexia Studies. So, let me pass the mic to Kavitha.
Hi everybody, just give us a few minutes. I understand that today we enjoyed, we begin the morning watching the children's drama production, and there were many cute bugs, right? Grasshoppers and ants, and just now with Sufrina's slides we had cockroaches, and I rest assured you that I will not have any bugs in my slides as well, so. Okay. The first two presentations were mainly focused on technology. Mine is purely on sharing on our science programs at the DAS. Thank you very much. Okay, hi. So yeah, I hope it has been an educational and a very meaningful experience so far at the Unite SPLD conference. My name is Kavitha. I'm actually an educational therapist with the DAS, and I'm absolutely delighted to share with you today on some crucial insights and probably some strategies for you to take away. And teaching science using the inquiry-based learning approach to primary school students with dyslexia is my topic presentation today. Okay. Over some time, there has been many feedback from parents inquiring about science programs at the DAS, and they did share with us on how their children actually underperforming during the science exams in school. And some of the common feedback is, as you can see, there was this father who mentioned that his daughter is unable to answer questions, especially from the section B of the science exam paper, the open-ended questions, and due to that she usually leaves them blank. And then there are some students who are unable to also explain the science processes. They're unable to understand the science processes, and they also have issues with the spelling of especially the specialized science vocabulary words. So, moving forward, I do understand how these students feel, their frustrations and the disappointments when they struggle to learn science in the primary school. So I would like to share with you a quote from Benjamin Franklin. He's actually one of the founding fathers of the United States of America during the 17th century, and he did wear many hats. So he was a scientist, an author, a politician as well. So this quote is very close to my heart, especially when I'm planning lesson plans at the DS. So basically, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. So according to the International Dyslexia Association, dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. So these difficulties typically result in the deficit of the phonological component of the language that is often unexpected in relation to the other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and reduced reading experience that can impede growth in vocabulary and also background prior knowledge. So as such, I would like to bring you to the next slide where I'll explain in detail the challenges faced by our students when learning science in the primary school. So one of the key challenges is that the science text itself, it is not a narrative text. It's not based on a story. It's actually an expository prose. So an expository text is actually more descriptive in nature. It has lots of information and facts. So students might not have the background knowledge. And of course, they will not be able to understand the science concepts as well. So reading comprehension is definitely an issue here. And lots of them are unable to spell some of the words like photosynthesis, carbon dioxide. They do struggle with the spelling as well. And the thing is that during the mainstream schools, the teacher, most of the time, she refers to the text itself, the textbook, and for them to identify the main ideas and also some of the supporting details also proves to be a real struggle. So overall, how to answer the open-ended questions in the science exam paper proves to be a real challenge for most of our students with dyslexia. So therefore, is there any specific approach or a model that we could use to teach science? So of course there is, and that is IBL, Inquiry-Based Learning Approach. So moving forward, over the years there has been many research papers on the effectiveness of using inquiry-based learning approach in the classroom to teach science. So inquiry-based learning, as you can see, it actually helps to foster science literacy and understanding science processes. Also helps in the vocabulary knowledge and conceptual understanding. So moreover, the students, it actually helps the students to think, to be critical thinkers. So it stimulates students' thinking and engages in authentic investigations. So together in a class, the student and the educator co-author the learning experience and wide understanding of creating meaningful lessons together. Okay. So in fact, in 2007, the Ministry of Education in Singapore has introduced major curricular revisions in the Singapore science curriculum. So as such, the science teachers from the mainstream schools have been widely encouraged to use inquiry-based instruction in their science classroom. So they have been asked to come out from the teacher-centered model way of teaching, the lecture style of teaching, and to get students to be more engaged in class with inquiry. So at the DAS, we strongly believe in reaching out and helping out our students with dyslexia to achieve. So hence, we launched our science short-term programs last year, which provide students with a wide range of meaningful learning experiences that will create opportunities to inquire and discuss about their daily life, society, and also in the environment. So our science lessons are not conducted in a lecture style of teaching or using the teacher-centered model as mentioned. Educational therapists in the class do not spoon-feed the students with lots of information and for them to end up being as passive listeners. So the main aim is to pave the pathway to attain student engagement in class, and also to develop their knowledge and skills that they need to function in today's world. So students move beyond passive recipients of knowledge, and they become their own builders of knowledge. So capable enough to, come up with creative solutions, innovative solutions to real-world problems. So they will learn to be critical thinkers and adopt a scientific attitude. And ladies and gentlemen, that is actually a lifelong skill that they learn to bring throughout their lives. So with the aim of using the inquiry-based learning approach in exploring science, I'm going to show you how we actually conduct a lesson in the science classroom. So we actually adopt the 5E instructional model by Vibey and Landis to help to create a student-centered learning environment which is highly interactive and fun, because we believe that that students, that they should explore science and enrich their minds. So as you can see, there are 5 stages, and the first stage, what we do is to get the students to be engaged. How do we do that? We play, the educational therapists play the role as a facilitator and as a guide in the science classroom. So firstly, we ask a specific open-ended question. So for example, what objects do magnets attract? Students' interest in magnets will be elicited during this part of the lesson, and also if as a facilitator, I'm also able to identify the misconceptions of what they have, their knowledge on magnets. So for example, you'll be surprised that some students do think that magnets can attract any objects out there, including humans. So I think they must be influenced by X-Men, I'm not sure, but yeah. So moving forward to the second stage, students will explore the topic by working together in their groups to investigate on what objects do magnets attract. So what do we do is we give them each a box to each of the group, and in that box you will find objects that are both magnetic and non-magnetic, and of course some of the magnets to experiment on. And as you can see, so the kids are, they're on their own in their groups experimenting with the magnets. And then for the next stage, in stage 3, students will work collaboratively to observe and discover more aspects of magnets and their function. So for examples, based on stage 2, now they have observed that some metals are non-magnetic. And do you know which are those metals? Does anyone do? Sorry? Oh yeah, oops. Oh, it's over there. I've given out the answer. Okay, you guys are so lucky today. All right, so yes, copper, silver, aluminium, and gold, right? So yes, and so what happens further is I will also explain to them magnets and new information on magnets as well, so that they will revise their explanation on magnets by creating diagrams to show how magnets can actually attract. So how do they create diagrams? They actually draw the different type of magnets, and they, in their own words, explain how they are being attracted by some of the metals. So yes, so moving forward, the fourth stage, students will elaborate by applying what they have learned about magnets to a new situation, which will help them to deepen their understanding of magnets and gaining a more generalized knowledge of the specific scientific concept. So for example, after they have completed their investigation, students will come out in their groups to conduct a presentation, or a show and tell of their collaborative work of the magnets in their daily lives and how it helps to solve real-world problems. And finally, at the final stage of evaluation, students will evaluate their own understanding of magnets and demonstrate their knowledge of the concepts and specialized science vocabulary into application. So when you talk about magnets, what are the keywords that come to your mind? So attraction, repulsion, right? Magnetic material. So yes, so as an educational therapist, we encourage the students to ask more questions so that it could lead to future investigation, perhaps in the next science lesson. So reflection is actually the key, and it isn't just about asking about about their opinion based on the topic. It's actually getting them to reflect on the whole process itself. So it's like working in metacognition, thinking about thinking. So you get your students to focus on what they learned in addition to what they have, how they have learned, right? So moving forward, as mentioned earlier about strategies that you can take away. Okay, so in the classroom, science classroom, to help the students by facilitating a meaningful yet a fun learning experience for our students, one of it is we definitely need to include a quick recap of learning in the first few minutes. So this is definitely important because we also want to test the student to understand whether the child has actually retained the information that has been taught in the previous lesson before we introduce a new science topic. And of course, as much as we can, because it's science, it's not a dry subject, it's a fun subject, we include lots of experiments, so practical investigations and hands-on as possible. So at the DES, we do apply the principles of Orton Gillingham approach in all our educational programs. So we are not leaving out science as well. So multisensory teaching and activities for our students are extremely crucial as it uses all learning pathways. So the children learns to feel, to hear, to see, and motion and brought by the thinking brain, so which results in greater ease and successful of the learning outcome. Okay. Right. Sorry. Okay, yeah, I missed one. So encourage students to verbalize what they're doing during the investigating. Especially during the experiments. Why is that? Because it definitely helps the student, yet again, to retain information step by step and try to understand the process. So there's a lot of scaffolding involved. And more strategies will be to act out, this is my personal favorite, to act out scientific scenarios. So as you know, humor fuels engagement in our science classroom, and of course students are able to understand the science concepts if they could perform example like what we did in our class. I'd like to share with you is how does a digestive system function. So the kids, one kid was acting out as the mouth, and then we had another child was the gullet, and then the stomach and the small intestine and the large intestine. And trust me, while they were acting out the drama, there has been a lot of chomping and stomping when, can you imagine a burger being broken down into simpler substances along the way from the mouth to the small intestine. So the kids do really get very excited, and of course it helps them to better understand the science concepts. So so furthermore, what we also do in the science classroom is that we pair students to, like for example, if a child, we had a child who is a poor writer, and then we place that child in the group where there's another good writer. So basically what we are trying to do here is to get the kids to support one another, to be a pillar of strength to one another, so that we try to match them according to their, not really match them, but so basically to get them to support each other by putting them into groups according to difference in their abilities and their difficulties. Okay. And so provide children with ready drawn grids or tables to record ideas in the form of diagrams or pictures. This is to save unnecessary time for writing. So there's been many cases in our classroom where the children, they had to draw, like for example, photosynthesis or a life cycle. So how does a plant make food? So they would draw the sun, the roots, the parts of the plant. So and a lot of them do enjoy the drawing, and it also helps them to understand better, because when they visually see a picture, it helps them with their understanding. So since we started last year, our science program, so some of the students have been like continuing for 2 terms, and these are some of the, I've just selected, we had many testimonials, so I've just selected 2. Okay, the first testimonial: "Thank you for teaching my son science in a fun and most interactive way possible. Not only his understanding got better, he has learned to love the subject the most. His teachers gave feedback that he did better than what they had expected for SA2. SA2 is actually the final exam, and encouraged me to celebrate his achievement. It will be wonderful if DS Parkway Parade continue the science classes on weekends in 2019. Kids could benefit a lot from it. A very big thank you, appreciate much." Now I remember this boy when he first came to our science class. He's very fidgety, and he was literally in his own world because he will suddenly act out as Darth Vader, and then we had a nice view in the classroom. We had a nice view of the ocean, and he would say, "Look out for Megalodon." I think at the time they were playing the movie Meg, and he was like, "Oh, teacher character, there's a Megalodon coming." I was like, "Where?" Yeah. So he's such an adorable kid, but he was a very poor reader. So I had to spend a little bit of time with him, sitting beside him as I go through the lesson and the experiments and all. I gave him special attention so that he is able to read and practice his understand the science vocabulary and all. And this is the same boy who did very well, and his teachers were actually very shocked, and they didn't expect him to do very well for his science. So that was a good testimony. And the other one is about this boy. Basically, he was failing in science, and after joining the program, because he enjoys the lesson, and he did much better compared to his mid-year. So yeah, and okay. And we'll come to the last part of our presentation. Okay, I just want to let you know that in terms of the topic on magnets, imagine a classroom where a group of diverse learners are presenting on their findings on a simple aspect of content. You will indeed have a classroom that learns deeper and wider. And in terms of student achievement, the power of questions should help to explore and investigate, and students help them to write and present. So it should help to motivate them to become experts in their own specific content. And of course, when a student gets a taste of that feeling, it goes a long way. And no matter how small that science concept is, it definitely increases the student's self-esteem. So it actually all starts with finding your own enthusiasm, your own excitement, and your own curiosity. So put it into practice in class, and you'll be heading towards a classroom of inquiry. On that note, I'd like to conclude my presentation today. Keep calm and enjoy science.